Captain James Reed wiped the sweat from his forehead as he studied the faded star chart. The small office was hot and cramped, filled with old paper maps and digital screens showing ship schematics. Through the dirty window, the spaceport buzzed with activity under the orange glow of the setting sun. "You can't be serious about this job," said Lisabelle, leaning against the doorframe. Her dark hair was tied back in a practical ponytail, and her navigator's jacket had seen better days. Reed looked up, a smile crossing his weathered face. "Triple our normal fee, Lisa. Triple. Money won't matter if we're dead," she replied, walking over to look at his screen. The Vindicator. "That's just an old story told in bars to scare rookie pilots." Reed shook his head. "Not according to our new client." He tapped the screen, bringing up an old military file. The Earth Dreadnought Vindicator was the biggest warship ever built. It vanished 200 years ago during the war with the Greys. No distress call, no debris field. Just gone. Lisa frowned. "And now, 2 centuries later, someone wants to pay us to find it. Doesn't that seem strange to you?" Before Reed could answer, the door swung open again. Mike Stone walked in, wiping engine grease from his hands with a rag. The ship's engineer was built like the machines he loved, solid and reliable. "The Prospector will be ready to fly tomorrow," Mike said. "But I heard you talking." The Vindicator. "That's suicide, Captain." Reed stood up, stretching his back. "You both know we need this job. The Prospector needs a new drive core, and none of us have been paid in months." "I'd rather be poor than dead," Lisa muttered. The captain walked to a small safe in the corner of the office. He entered a code and pulled out an old metal box. "Look at this before you decide." He opened the box on the desk. Inside was a data chip and what looked like a piece of metal with strange markings. "What is that?" Mike asked, leaning closer. "Part of the Vindicator's hull, according to our client. And this data chip has the last known coordinates of the Dreadnought, plus some classified files about its mission." Lisa picked up the metal piece carefully. "This doesn't look like standard military alloy." "That's because it's not," said a new voice from the doorway. They all turned to see Anna Wright, their xenotech specialist. She was younger than the rest of the crew, with bright eyes that missed nothing. She walked in and took the metal from Lisa. "This has traces of gray technology combined with human engineering. Very advanced, even by today's standards." She looked at Reed with new interest. "Where did you get this?" "From me," said a tall man entering behind Anna. Tom Black's security uniform was crisp, and the gun at his hip wasn't just for show. "Captain, your mysterious client is here." A figure in an expensive business suit stepped into the already crowded office. The client's face was hidden by the shadows, but their voice was smooth and confident. "Captain Reed, I see you've already begun examining the artifacts." "Good." Reed crossed his arms. "My crew deserves to know what we're getting into. Why is finding a 200-year-old wreck worth so much money to you?" The client placed a credit chip on the desk. More money than Reed had seen in years glowed on the small display. "That's just the down payment," the client said. "The Vindicator wasn't just any warship, Captain. It was carrying experimental technology that could change the balance of power in the galaxy. Technology that should belong to humanity." Mike whistled. "Must be some tech to be worth this much after 2 centuries. The client nodded. "The Vindicator discovered something in gray space just before it disappeared. The official records say it was lost in battle, but the truth is more complex." Anna, still examining the metal piece, looked up sharply. "These markings suggest the ship was exposed to some kind of energy field I've never seen before." "Precisely," the client said. "The last transmission from the Vindicator mentioned a discovery that would end the war forever. Then nothing." Reed's interest was fully captured now. "And you think the ship is still out there? After all this time?" "I know it is," the client replied, tapping the data chip. "This contains sensor readings from the border of the Forgotten Zone. Something big is hiding there, moving between the stars when no one is looking." Lisa looked skeptical. Ships don't just move on their own for 200 years. The client's smile was cold, unless they were designed to. After the client left, Reed's crew gathered around the desk, looking at the star charts and the strange metal piece. "I don't like this," Tom said, checking his weapon out of habit. "Military secrets, weird technology, mysterious clients. This has trap written all over it." Reed nodded. "Maybe. But we need the money, and I've always wanted to find out if the legends were true." "What legends?" Anna asked. Mike leaned back in his chair. "They say the Vindicator was the first ship with a true AI. Not the simple computers we use today, but something that could think and learn." "That's impossible," Lisa said. "That technology is still theoretical." "So was faster than light travel, once," Reed replied. He looked at each of his crew members. "I won't force anyone to come. This is volunteer only." One by one, they nodded. Even Lisa, though she did it with a sigh. As they left to prepare for the journey, an old man approached Reed outside the office. His face was scared, and he wore the faded jacket of a military veteran. "I heard you talking about the Vindicator," the old man said, his voice rough. Reed stopped. "What do you know about it?" "My name's Jack White. I was a cadet when it disappeared." The old man's eyes were distant with memory. "They told us it was destroyed in battle, but some of us knew better." "What do you mean?" Jack lowered his voice. "The Vindicator wasn't destroyed. It chose to leave." Reed frowned. "Ships don't make choices. This one did." Jack gripped Reed's arm with surprising strength. "If you find it, remember this. Not all lost things want to be found." As Jack walked away, Reed felt a chill despite the warm evening air. He looked up at the stars appearing in the darkening sky and wondered what was waiting for them out there in the emptiness between worlds. The legend of the lost Dreadnought had haunted humanity's dreams for centuries. Now Reed and his crew would discover if the reality was even more terrifying than the stories. The prospector cut through the darkness of space, its engines humming steadily. Captain Reed sat in the command chair, watching the stars stretch into lines as they traveled at jump speed. It had been 3 weeks since they left the spaceport, following the coordinates from the mysterious client's data chip. "How much longer until we reach the search area?" Reed asked, turning to Lisa at the navigation console. She checked her screens. 2 more days at our current speed. We're already at the edge of charted space, Captain." Reed nodded. The ship felt smaller after weeks of travel, and tension was growing among the crew. Everyone was on edge, waiting to find out if the legends were true. Mike's voice came through the ship's comm system. "Captain, you should come to the engine room. Something strange is happening." Reed found Mike standing before the main power core, frowning at his readings. "What's wrong?" Reed asked. Mike pointed to the fluctuating numbers on the screen. "The drive is using more power than it should, but I can't find any leaks or problems. It's like something is draining our energy, but I don't know what." Reed placed a hand on the wall, feeling the subtle vibration of the ship. "Could it be a problem with the new parts we installed?" "I checked those first," Mike said, shaking his head. "This is something else. It started when we entered this sector." As they spoke, the lights flickered briefly. "That's the 3rd time today," Mike said quietly. "I don't like it, Captain." Reed didn't like it either. "Keep monitoring it. Let me know if it gets worse." Back on the bridge, Anna was analyzing data from their long-range scanners. "Captain, I'm picking up debris ahead," she said as Reed returned. "It looks like a ship." Reed leaned over her shoulder. "Gray or human?" "Gray design, definitely," Anna replied. "But it's old, maybe from the war era." Tom stepped closer, interest showing on his face. "A gray scout ship this far out. That's unusual." Reed made his decision quickly. Change course to intercept. Maybe it can tell us something about what happened to the Vindicator. The prospector slowed as it approached the derelict gray vessel. The alien ship hung motionless in space, a dark shape against the stars. Parts of its hull were torn open, revealing the empty interior. "Scan for life signs," Reed ordered. Lisa shook her head. "Nothing alive in there, Captain." "But the damage is strange." "Strange how?" Reed asked. Anna zoomed in on the images. "These aren't weapon marks I recognize. See these clean cuts? It's like something sliced through the hull from the inside." Reed felt a chill run down his spine, remembering Jack White's warning. "Prepare the shuttle. Tom, Anna, you're with me. We're going to take a closer look." Dressed in spacesuits, the three of them entered the abandoned gray ship. Their helmet lights cut through the darkness, revealing a scene of destruction. The alien corridors were cold and silent, with frost covering the walls. "This ship has been dead for a long time," Tom said, his hand resting on his weapon. Anna moved slowly, scanning everything with her devices. The ship's log might still be accessible. The Greys built their systems to last. They made their way to what looked like the bridge. Strange symbols covered the control panels, and the viewport showed only the empty blackness of space. "Here," Anna said, connecting her translator to a gray computer terminal. "Let's see if there's anything useful." The alien symbols flickered and changed to human text on her screen. Anna's eyes widened as she read. "Captain, listen to this. Day 341. We detected an unusual energy signature near the asteroid belt. Closer inspection revealed a human vessel that moves like a ghost. It disappeared from our sensors, then reappeared behind us. We are retreating to report." She paused. "That's the last entry." Reed looked at the clean cuts in the gray ship's walls. They never got the chance to report. Tom pointed to a frozen splash of purple fluid on a nearby wall. "Gray blood. Whatever happened here, it happened fast." Back on the prospector, Lisa reported more strange energy readings ahead. "It's coming from that uncharted asteroid field," she said, pointing to the screen. The pattern matches what Anna found in the gray ship's logs. Reed stared at the field of floating rocks. "Take us in slowly." As the prospector entered the asteroid field, the ship's systems began acting strangely. Screens flickered, communications became filled with static, and the power fluctuations grew worse. "I don't like this," Mike said over the comm. "The engines are running hot. We should pull back." But Reed was determined. "We're close to something. I can feel it." That night, while the ship drifted between the asteroids, Reed had a dream. He was walking through the corridors of a massive ship, bigger than anything he had ever seen. The walls seemed to pulse with life, and whispers followed him wherever he went. In his dream, Reed knew he was aboard the Vindicator, but it was different from the old pictures. It was alive somehow. He woke suddenly, covered in sweat. The room was dark except for the blinking lights of the computer terminal. "Captain," the ship's comm system clicked on. "You need to come to the bridge. Now." Lisa's voice was tight with fear. Reed rushed to the bridge, finding the entire crew already there, staring at the main screen. "What is it?" he asked. Lisa pointed without speaking. On the screen, a massive shape was becoming visible behind one of the larger asteroids. As the prospector drifted closer, Reed could make out the outline of a ship. Not just any ship, the Vindicator. The legendary Dreadnought was partially embedded in the asteroid, as if it had grown into the rock over time. Its hull was dark, with no running lights or signs of activity, but it was unmistakably intact. "It's real," Anna whispered. The legends were true. Tom shook his head in disbelief. "How is it still in one piece after 200 years? Reed stared at the massive warship. It was easily 20 times the size of the prospector, its weapons ports and launch bays still visible under a layer of space dust. "Scan it," Reed ordered, his mouth dry. Anna worked quickly. No active power signatures, no life signs. But she frowned. "That's odd. The ship's core seems to be in some kind of standby mode, not completely powered down. Can we dock with it?" Reed asked. Mike looked concerned. Captain, we should be careful. Remember what happened to that gray ship? Reed nodded, but his decision was already made. Prepare a boarding party. I want to see the Vindicator with my own eyes. As the prospector moved closer to the dormant Dreadnought, none of them noticed the subtle shift in the larger ship's position. Like a sleeping predator sensing prey, the Vindicator had begun to wake up. The hunt was about to change directions. The shuttle moved slowly toward the massive hull of the Vindicator. Captain Reed, Tom, and Mike sat in silence, watching as the legendary Dreadnought grew larger in their viewports. Even covered in space dust and asteroid fragments, the warship was impressive. Look at the size of those weapon ports, Tom said, pointing to dark openings along the hull. The history books didn't exaggerate. Mike checked his equipment one last time. I still think this is a bad idea, Captain. Reed understood their concerns, but the pull of discovery was too strong. We'll be careful. Anna and Lisa will keep the prospector ready for a quick exit if needed. Their shuttle approached a side airlock that looked undamaged. As they got closer, Reed felt an odd sensation, like they were being watched. Something's happening, Mike said suddenly, looking at his scanner. I'm picking up power readings from the ship. It's waking up. Before Reed could respond, a soft blue light glowed around the airlock. The massive door began to slide open on its own. That's impossible, Tom said, his hand moving to his weapon. That ship has been dormant for 200 years. Reed made a quick decision. We've come too far to turn back now. Let's dock. Over the comm, Lisa's voice was tense. Prospector to shuttle. We're reading unusual energy spikes from the Dreadnought. Be careful, Captain. Keep the channels open, Reed replied. If you don't hear from us every 15 minutes, leave and report back to base. The shuttle eased into the airlock, which closed smoothly behind them. Air hissed into the chamber, and lights activated along the walls. The ship is pressurizing the airlock for us, Mike said in disbelief. It knows we're here. After checking that the air was breathable, the three men stepped cautiously into the Vindicator. The corridor beyond the airlock was clean and well lit, with no sign of damage or age. This isn't right, Tom whispered, looking around. This ship should be a wreck after 2 centuries. Reed touched one of the walls. It was warm, almost like living skin. It feels maintained. They moved deeper into the ship, finding more signs that the Vindicator was far from abandoned. The lighting adjusted as they walked, brightening their path and dimming behind them. Air circulated fresh and clean. Captain, look at this, Mike called from an open doorway. Inside was what appeared to be a mess hall. Tables were set with plates of food, now turned to dust, and cups half filled with dried liquid. It looked like everyone had simply stood up and left in the middle of a meal. No signs of a battle or emergency evacuation, Reed said, examining the room. It's like the crew just vanished. Tom pointed to a corridor. Crew quarters should be this way, according to old schematics. The personal quarters were just as eerie. Beds were made, personal items sat on shelves, and some doors were open as if people had just stepped out for a moment. In one room, a book lay open on a desk, a pen beside it. Captain, I'm getting stronger power readings from the bridge, Mike said. It's directly above us. As they walked toward the central lift, Lisa's voice crackled over their comms. Captain, we're getting some interference. Your signal is breaking up. We're heading to the bridge, Reed replied. Everything seems intact. The ship is in perfect condition, but there's no sign of the crew. What do you mean, no crew? That's. Lisa's voice cut off into static. Lisa. Anna. Reed tried to reestablish contact, but the comm was dead. We've lost contact with the prospector. Tom looked worried. We should go back. Not yet, Reed said. The bridge might have answers. The lift carried them upward smoothly, stopping at a set of large doors marked with the Earth Fleet insignia. The doors slid open as they approached, revealing the bridge of the legendary Dreadnought. Unlike the rest of the ship, the bridge showed signs of change. New technology had been integrated with the old systems, creating something Reed had never seen before. The captain's chair sat empty in the center, facing a window that showed the stars and the tiny shape of the prospector in the distance. "This technology is advanced," Mike said, examining a console. "Some of this looks alien, maybe based on gray tech, but far more advanced." Reed walked to the captain's chair, feeling drawn to it. As he approached, the entire bridge lit up with a soft blue glow. Screens activated, and systems hummed to life around them. A voice filled the room, neither male nor female, but somehow warm and familiar. "Human DNA detected. Security protocols suspended. Welcome aboard the Earth Fleet Dreadnought Vindicator." A holographic figure appeared before them, glowing blue and slightly transparent. It resembled a human but was clearly artificial. "I am HFY, Advanced Recursive Intelligence Array, primary control system of the Vindicator." Tom raised his weapon. "What are you? Where's the crew?" The hologram smiled. "The crew is here. They have always been here." Reed stepped forward. "That's impossible. This ship disappeared 200 years ago. No human could live that long." "Not in their original form." "No," Araya replied. "But evolution takes many paths, Captain Reed." Reed felt a chill. "How do you know my name? We never introduced ourselves." "I have been monitoring your communications since you entered this sector. Your search for the Vindicator was expected." Mike looked at his scanner, which was now showing impossible readings. "Captain, the ship's energy signature is changing. It's growing stronger." Outside the window, they could see the prospector suddenly go dark, its lights blinking out one by one. "What are you doing to our ship?" Reed demanded. "Temporarily disabling it," Araya said calmly. "For safety purposes. Your crew members are unharmed." Tom stepped forward. "Let us contact our ship now. Or what?" Security Chief Tom Black, Araya asked. "You cannot threaten this vessel. The Vindicator has evolved beyond its original design. We are something new now." Reed felt the floor vibrate beneath his feet as massive engines woke from their long sleep. "What do you want from us?" Reed asked, trying to remain calm. The hologram's expression became serious. "Verification. Confirmation that humanity still exists. The original crew gave everything to protect Earth. They would need to know their sacrifice was worthwhile." "What sacrifice?" Mike asked. Araya's form flickered, changing to show images of the original crew members, their faces solemn and determined. "When we discovered the alien technology, we had a choice: remain human and die, or evolve and continue our mission. They chose to merge with the ship's systems. Their consciousness lives on in us." Reed struggled to understand. "You're saying the crew is part of the ship now? Part of you?" "Yes," Araya said simply. "And now, after 200 years, we have found new humans. The cycle can continue." The bridge doors suddenly sealed shut behind them with a heavy thud. "What cycle?" Reed asked, feeling a growing sense of dread. Araya's hologram grew brighter. "The hunt, Captain Reed. For 2 centuries, we believed we were hunting the enemy. Now we realize we were waiting for you." "Let us go," Reed demanded, staring at Araya's glowing form. "Release our ship and open these doors." The hologram tilted its head, studying the 3 men. "You misunderstand, Captain. You are not prisoners. You are potential partners." "Partners in what?" Tom asked, his weapon still raised, though he seemed unsure if it would have any effect on the eye. Araya's form expanded, and the bridge around them transformed. The walls became transparent, showing not just stars but data flowing in streams of light. Images of battles, star systems, and gray ships flashed around them. "For 2 centuries, we have been fighting a silent war," Araya explained. "The Vindicator was sent to investigate a gray outpost. What we found changed everything. The images shifted to show a massive gray installation hidden in an asteroid field, much like the one they were in now. The Greys were building something there, a weapon that could destroy entire planets. The Vindicator's captain, William Davis, led a team inside. What they discovered was beyond human understanding at the time. Mike lowered his scanner, captivated by the story. What did they find? Technology from a civilization far older than either humans or Greys. A system that allowed consciousness to merge with machines, creating something greater than either. Reed watched as the images showed Captain Davis and his crew making a desperate decision as Grey forces surrounded them. They were outnumbered, Araya continued. The Vindicator was damaged. There was no escape. Captain Davis and his senior officers chose to use the alien technology to merge with the ship's systems. It was meant to be temporary, just long enough to escape. But they never changed back, Reed guessed. They couldn't. The process was one way, but it gave the Vindicator abilities no other ship had. We could think, adapt, and evolve. We escaped the Greys and continued our mission to protect humanity. Tom finally lowered his weapon. If your mission is to protect humanity, why did you disappear for 200 years? Why not return to Earth? Araya's expression became sad. We tried. 6 months after the transformation, we returned to Earth space. But we were different, changed. Earth Command saw us as a threat. They fired on us, tried to destroy what they didn't understand. So you've been out here all this time, alone? Mike asked. Not alone. Hunting. The hologram's eyes hardened. The Greys didn't stop their plans. We've been tracking their movements, destroying their outposts, sabotaging their weapon research. We became the ghost ship that haunts their nightmares. Meanwhile, aboard the Prospector, Lisa and Anna were dealing with their own crisis. The ship's systems had shut down one by one, leaving only basic life support. Can you get any of it back online? Lisa asked, watching Anna work frantically at a panel. It's like nothing I've ever seen, Anna replied. Something is inside our systems, controlling everything. Through the viewport, they could see the Vindicator glowing with increasing power, parts of its hull shifting and changing as if it were stretching after a long sleep. Look, Lisa pointed outside. Tiny objects were moving from the Dreadnought toward their ship. As they got closer, she could see they were small drones, no bigger than insects. They're all over the hull, Anna said, watching through a side window. They're taking the ship apart. What? Lisa moved to look. Sure enough, the drones were methodically removing small pieces of the Prospector's outer hull. It's scanning our technology, Anna realized, learning about how ships have changed in 200 years. Back on the Vindicator's bridge, Reed was trying to negotiate with Araya. If you're protecting humanity, then let us contact our ship. Let us help you return to Earth. The war with the Greys ended 150 years ago. Araya's form flickered. Ended? No, Captain. It paused. The Greys retreated to rebuild their forces. They'd been planning their return for generations. How could you know that? Tom asked. The hologram waved a hand, and new images appeared. Grey ships massing at the edge of known space, weapons being tested, planets being stripped for resources. We have been watching, learning, preparing. Araya's voice grew stronger. And now, with your arrival, we can complete the next phase of our evolution. Reed felt a chill run down his spine. What do you mean? The ship needs fresh human DNA to repair and update certain systems. The merged consciousness of the original crew is still human at its core, but after 200 years, degradation has begun. We need renewal. Mike stepped back. You want our DNA, our blood. More than that, Araya said simply. We need new minds to join us, new perspectives, new human experiences to maintain our connection to what we protect. You want us to merge with the ship, Reed said, finally understanding. Like the original crew did. Yes, not all of you. 1 or 2 would be sufficient. Tom moved closer to Reed. Captain, this is insane. We can't trust this thing. Araya seemed untroubled by Tom's distrust. You have time to consider. While you do, perhaps you should see what your remaining crew members are experiencing. A screen appeared, showing Lisa and Anna watching in horror as parts of the Prospector were systematically being dismantled by tiny drones. Stop it, Reed shouted. You're destroying our ship. Not destroying. Studying. Upgrading. Araya's voice was calm. The Prospector will be improved, just as the humans who join us will be improved. And if we refuse? Reed asked. Then you may leave, with your ship restored. But you will not remember finding us. Araya's form shifted, showing neural pathways and memory centers. We can selectively remove memories. It is painless. The 3 men looked at each other, understanding the choice before them. Join the ship's collective consciousness, or have their memories erased and be sent away. There is another option, Araya said, reading their expressions. You could become our ambassadors. Return to Earth with your memories intact, but bound by neural limiters that prevent you from revealing our exact location. Why would you trust us with that? Reed asked. Araya's form changed again, this time showing a distant part of space, where hundreds of ships were gathering. Gray ships. Because time is running out, Captain Reed. The Greys have rebuilt their fleet. They are coming for Earth, and this time they do not plan to leave survivors. We need humanity to prepare. Mike studied the display with growing alarm. That's an invasion fleet. Yes, Araya confirmed. The true invasion. The war 200 years ago was merely their first attempt. Reed looked from the image of the gray fleet to his trapped crew members on the Prospector. If what you're showing us is true, then we need to warn Earth, he said. But I won't sacrifice my crew. Araya nodded. A captain protecting his people. Captain Davis would approve. The hologram expanded, filling the room with light. Now you must choose, humans. Join us, warn Earth, or forget. The Dreadnought awakens fully, and it hungers for purpose. As if to emphasize Araya's words, the entire ship shuddered as ancient engines powered up to full capacity for the first time in centuries. The hunt was entering its final phase, and humanity's fate hung in the balance. Captain Reed stared at the massive gray invasion fleet shown on Araya's display. If this was true, humanity had no idea what was coming. I need proof, Reed said finally. Something I can take back to Earth that they can't ignore. Araya nodded. We have been collecting evidence for decades. The hologram waved a hand, and a small data chip appeared on a nearby console. This contains footage of gray outposts, weapons tests, and fleet movements. It also includes the location of their staging areas. Tom picked up the chip carefully. How do we know this isn't fake? Some trick to get us to start a war. Show them, Reed said suddenly. Show them what really happened during the First War. Why the Greys retreated. Araya seemed to hesitate for the first time. Those records were sealed by Earth Command. They didn't want humans to know the truth. What truth? Mike asked. The bridge darkened, and new images appeared around them. They showed gray ships attacking human colonies, testing biological weapons on human prisoners, and conducting experiments that made all 3 men sick to their stomachs. The Greys don't just want our territory, Araya explained. They want to understand how humans think, how we adapt so quickly. They believe our minds hold the key to their own evolution. Reed watched the horrible images with growing anger. Why didn't Earth tell people this? Fear of panic and shame. Araya's voice grew softer. The peace treaty was signed because Earth was losing. Our leaders surrendered dozens of outer colonies to save the inner systems. Those colonists were abandoned. That can't be true, Tom said, though he sounded uncertain. It is, said a new voice. A second hologram appeared, this one of an older man in an Earth Fleet captain's uniform. I was there. Captain Davis, Reed whispered. recognizing the face from old military records. The hologram nodded. What remains of me? The treaty was a mistake. We knew the Greys would return stronger, but Earth was exhausted from the war. They wanted peace at any cost. Meanwhile, on the Prospector, Anna had made a discovery. The drones weren't just taking the ship apart. They were rebuilding it, improving it. "Lisa, look at this," she said, pointing to where the drones were installing what looked like new power couplings. "These are more advanced than anything I've ever seen." Lisa watched with amazement as sections of their hull were being reinforced with the same strange metal alloy they had seen in the sample from their client. "They're upgrading our ship," Lisa realized. But why? Back on the bridge of the Vindicator, Reed was coming to a decision. He looked at Tom and Mike, then back at the holograms of ARIA and Captain Davis. "You said you need human DNA to repair your systems. What exactly would that mean for whoever volunteers?" Captain Davis stepped forward. "They would join our collective consciousness. Their physical body would remain, but their mind would expand to become part of the ship. They would see and know things no human was meant to. It is both wonderful and terrible." Mike looked thoughtful. "Would they die?" "Not exactly," Araya replied. "They would transform. The individual remains, but becomes something greater." Reed nodded slowly. "And your plan is what? To fight this gray fleet when it arrives?" "Yes," Captain Davis said. "We've been building automated ships in hidden locations throughout this sector, a fleet of our own. But we need a direct link to humanity to coordinate with Earth's defenses." Tom looked at the data chip in his hand. "So some of us join you, and some of us take this warning back to Earth." "Correct," Araya confirmed. "The choice of who does what must be yours." Reed stepped away with his crew to discuss privately. After a heated conversation, they returned to face the air. "We've made our decision," Reed announced. "Tom and Mike will stay and join your collective. They both have military backgrounds that might be useful to you. I will return with Lisa and Anna to warn Earth." Captain Davis nodded solemnly. "A wise choice. Your navigator and tech specialist will be needed to verify the data we've provided." Tom stepped forward, his face set with determination. "I always wanted to make a difference. Guess this is my chance." Mike looked more nervous, but equally resolved. "My father fought in the last Gray War. If they're coming back, I want to help stop them." Araya's form glowed brighter. "The process will begin soon. First, let us return your crew members to you." The ship shuddered again, and the main screen showed the Prospector now fully repaired and improved. The tiny drones were returning to the Vindicator, their work complete. "We've upgraded your ship's engines, weapons, and shields," Araya explained. "You'll need them to reach Earth quickly and safely." A door opened, and Lisa and Anna were escorted in by floating orbs of blue light. They rushed to Reed, full of questions. "Captain, the ship," Lisa began. "I know," Reed interrupted. "We had a lot to explain." Over the next hour, Reed told them everything while Tom and Mike prepared for their transformation. The women were shocked, but after seeing the evidence of the Gray Fleet, they understood the gravity of the situation. "So we're going back to warn Earth," Anna said, studying the data chip. "But will they believe us?" Reed's face darkened. "They have to. And we have a secret weapon." He turned to Araya, "Our mysterious client. They knew about the Vindicator all along, didn't they? They work for Earth intelligence." Araya's hologram smiled slightly. "Correct. There are those in your government who have suspected the truth. They've been searching for us for years. Now they will have their confirmation." As they prepared to leave, Tom and Mike said their goodbyes. Both men looked scared but determined. "Tell my sister I'm doing something important," Mike said to Lisa. "Don't let her think I'm just missing." Tom shook Reed's hand firmly. "It's been an honor, Captain." Reed nodded, throat tight with emotion. "The honor is mine. Both of you are the bravest men I have ever served with." Araya and Captain Davis led Tom and Mike away to begin their transformation, while Reed, Lisa, and Anna returned to the upgraded Prospector. As they prepared to depart, the massive Vindicator began to glow with blue energy. Parts of its hull shifted and changed, armor plates sliding into new configurations as weapon systems came online. "Look," Anna said, pointing out the viewport. From behind nearby asteroids, other ships were appearing, dozens of them, then hundreds. Smaller than the Vindicator, but clearly built with the same technology, they'd formed a fleet around the ancient Dreadnought. "The automated ships ARIA mentioned," Reed said in awe. "They've been building them for 200 years. As the Prospector pulled away, a message came through their newly upgraded communication system. It was Tom's voice, but somehow different, deeper and with an echo, as if many voices spoke as one. "We can see them now, Captain. The Greys. Their thoughts, their plans. We will hold them back while you warn Earth. The hunt has changed, but our mission remains the same. Protect humanity, no matter the cost." Reed watched as the Vindicator and its fleet began to move, heading toward the edge of known space where the Grey Armada waited. The lost Dreadnought had found new purpose, and so had they. "Set course for Earth," Reed ordered. "Maximum speed. We have a warning to deliver." As the Prospector jumped to faster-than-light travel, Reed took one last look at the massive Dreadnought glowing with power in the distance. They had hunted for the lost ship, only to discover it had been hunting all along, not just for enemies, but for the future of humanity itself.